Hi guys, just before the video begins I would just like to take this time to explain, as the title says, that this is only really a prototype episode, just a bit of practice for me because this is the first time I've actually ever properly made decent YouTube videos, well, decent in my opinion anyway, and I'd just really appreciate it if you could maybe comment, just to say what things you think I could improve on, what things you're not happy with, it can be anything really. Doesn't really matter. Just, if you got a problem with it, just say and I'll work my hardest to improve it. And likewise, if you have any compliments, I'm all ears open to those as well. And now let's get straight into the guide. Hello, and this is Identification, or Alex, as that's my name, bringing you what will hopefully only be the first in my series of comprehensive Halo 4 weapon and utility guides. Which, by comprehensive, I mean I'm going to be showing you both the fictional background of the weapon utility and also its characteristics in multiplayer and how to use it the best. This episode is going to be concerning truly the most powerful weapon in the Halo universe's arsenal, by the Halos themselves of course, which is of course the Spartans, who have proved as deadly as any weapon could ever be by keeping the insurrectionists at bay, defeating the Covenant, stopping a flood infection of the galaxy, and facing down one of the Forerunners' most elite Prometheans, the Didact, or Didact, or however you want to pronounce it. The origin of the Spartans' namesake can be traced back to ancient Greece, where 300 of the ancient Spartans fought in the Battle of Thermopylae against 1 million Persians. Unsurprisingly, they were all viciously slaughtered, but not before taking down around 20,000 Persians with them, and it is this suicidal view on getting the job done and done well which has led Dr. Housley to name her kidnapped 6-year-olds after. Not exactly the best parent model. A bit of history for you. The Spartan program began in 2321, although the technology required had been around for a significantly longer amount of time. Run by Oni and as part of the Orion project, the Spartan program was originally intended for voluntary soldiers, with the intention of turning them into the elite super soldiers called the Spartans. Unfortunately, they didn't get this right, but then they tried again over a century later in 2421, using advances in biochemical engineering, and ultimately what they did end up with was the Spartan 1s, who were ultimately just buffed up Marines, but included a certain Sergeant Johnson, who we all know is absolutely awesome. Then, on their first mission, the Spartan 1s killed a load of insurrectionists, so mission success for Oni. Unfortunately, the Spartans proved a little too expensive, and the results seemed not impressive enough, so the project was called off once more. In 2517, the project was revived again to create the Spartan 2s, who were stolen from their parents aged 6, rigorously trained both mentally and physically, and then given bioengineering to make them the ultimate warriors. Unfortunately, this proved too much for half of the applicants, who died or were incapacitated as a result. This is the type of Spartan you play as in Halos 1 to 3, and in the campaign of Halo 4, John 117. Yet again, cost was the limiting factor, so Oni called a halt to the Spartan 2s after just a few batches, once realising that they needed something more numerous to turn the tide of the war. So began the Spartan 3 project, which involved taking the children whose families had been slaughtered by the Covenant, training them en masse, giving them drugs which didn't require quite as much vigorous training as the Spartan 2s, which as a result didn't end up killing half of them, and then sending them on suicide missions to avenge their parents. This is the type of Spartan you play as in Halo Reach, Noble 6, who despite having access to cool armor abilities lacks the raw, steel-smashing and bacon-hurling power of the Master Chief. Then, finally, after years of attempts, Oni got the recipe right, and in the Spartan 4 project managed to create cheaper and more powerful Spartans out of volunteers from the military. Not only do these new Spartans get even more armor permutations than the Spartan 3s, but are also a little stronger than their orphan counterparts, although still not as much as the Spartan 2s. Thus end Spartans. Now we must venture into the mysterious depths of their armor. Not literally, of course. Named after the Norse god of thunder, Thor, and initiated in 2512, the Mjolnir program was run parallel alongside the Spartan program, and was intended to produce powered exoskeletons to enhance the Spartans' physical prowess. In a similar manner to its contemporary, the Mjolnir program produced several variants of the armour before Oni found what they were looking for. Their first edition of the Mjolnir armour, the Mark I armour, was bulky, unwieldy, and needed to be tethered to a fusion power source due to the insane amount of power it consumed. However, the wearer of this armour will be able to lift weights of up to 2 tons and run at 20 miles an hour for an extended period of time. Usain Bolt, by contrast, has a best sprint speed of 23 miles per hour, and that is only for a matter of seconds. Despite not being used for the Spartans themselves, this armour did find use in docking facilities, mines, and as protection for the Spartans' trainers to stop them being killed, as had happened to 3 of their unfortunate colleagues. Mark II was similar to Mark I, as it had to be tethered to a power source, but did grant the user much more mobility, protection against explosives, and a better self-sealing mechanism in case the suit became damaged in space. Mark III again was identical to Mark II, apart from its ability to receive power through a wireless transmitter. Sounds cool, but it was still impractical because the suits had to remain in range of the bulky generator, and also if the generator went down, then the person would be stuck, frozen inside of their suit. Mark IV, however, was different. Designed by Dr. Halsey, and unlike the others, contained a fusion pack to power itself, and ultimately meant the suit could be used on the battlefield. The suit was deployed on November the 17th, 2525, just after the Covenant declared war on humanity, and as a result was even covered in a special alloy designed to disperse the plasma fired from the Covenant weapons. However, only Spartan 2s could use them, because regular human bones were not strong enough to withstand the stresses induced by a suit which reacted to the user's impulses faster than the body could on its own. Mark V was pretty similar to Mark IV, apart from three main features. Firstly, it had its own energy shields derived from reverse engineered Covenant technology, had compatibility with smart AIs, and had a fusion pack half the size of the Mark IVs. This is the armour, or some variant of this armour, that you will use in Halo Combat Evolved, Reach, and Anniversary. Mark VI armour, aside from having a different aesthetic appearance, had the following upgrades from the Mark V. Firstly, faster shield recharging time. Secondly, increased synchronization between suit and user, allowing Spartans to run faster, hit harder, and jump higher. Thirdly, they included a self-administrating medical care system that made medkits, seen in the first game, obsolete. This is the armour you will use in Halo 2 and Halo 3. And Halo 4. Mark 7 armour is pretty much the same as Mark 6 armour, apart from a few aesthetic changes and a hybrid fusion core to provide more power, an atmospheric insertion capability, and a feature which allows the limited shaping of the energy shields into things like airfoils, which may assist with the atmospheric insertion. This marks the end of the Generation 1 of Mjolnir armour, but wait, there's more! Generation 2 Mark 1 Mjolnir armour. This is the armour used for the Spartan 4s and the most advanced so far, and will be the armour your character will use in the Halo 4's multiplayer and Spartan Ops. Okay, so that's a not so brief history of the Spartans and their armour. Okay, so now we've finished the history of the Spartans, we can now move on to what they're like in multiplayer. However, as this is a prototype episode, I don't actually have access to the game at this time, because at the time of recording, it's I think it's October the 6th, so yeah, day after the first part of Forward into Dawn came out. It was very good. But what I can tell you is, assuming that the Halo 4 Spartan models are the same as the Halo 3 Spartan models, which I'm pretty certain they are, they will have 115 points of health. 45 of these will be in the body, and 70 of these will be in the shielding. Now, as you know, different weapons often have different rates of damaging both the shield and the body. For example, plasma weapons typically deal more damage to the shield, whereas human weapons typically deal more damage to the health. So, in Halo 4's multiplayer, the only weapon the Spartans really have on their own is, of course, their cybernetically enhanced bioengineered fist, which is a pretty hefty weapon. And in Halo 4 will deal 70 points of damage, assuming it strikes to the front or the side of the enemy Spartan. It will kill in 2 hits. Unless, of course, you strike to the back of the opposing Spartan, and then it'll be an insta-kill. Or, if you fancy a bit more class and style to your kills, you can hold down the melee button to perform a stylized assassination. Of course, these vary depending on the Spartan's positions and the weapons you're holding. And again, I would show them to you, but this is the 6th of October, so I don't have them. But rest assured, they're very cool. That concludes my prototype Halo 4 Spartan History Guide for today, and I will hope to see you about a week after Halo 4 comes out, assuming all goes to plan, with what should be a weekly series of guides. So until then, goodbye, I guess.